Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for what is mainly a preview and predicted 11 and stuff live stream ahead of Southampton versus Chelsea tomorrow afternoon. But there are a lot of things that still need to be discussed. We need to, now that we've had a couple of days to process it, still talk about Real Madrid again, in my opinion, especially with Pice and Charlie, who will be joining us very soon. Of course, we're not on the player rating stream, unlike myself and Clutch, of course. We also need to discuss the addition to Mr. Todd Boehly's bid in trying to buy Chelsea and what implications and what differences that could or could not make. And then we will, of course, also talk a little bit about Southampton versus Chelsea, even though a lot of us are probably like, okay, give us the second Madrid leg. Let's see if we can make a miracle happen. And if not, who gives a shit other than the FA Cup, really? I mean, obviously, we need to still make sure we get top four. So every game is still kind of important because, I mean, if we keep losing, top four is in big danger. Do you know what I mean? And, that would make things even worse. So let's not even think that negatively as of yet. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, if you're watching, whether that's live right now or once this has turned into a video, be sure to subscribe. I'd massively appreciate it. Big up Texas Blue 24, was it? Is that your exact name? Texas Blue 24. See, I remember that right. Appreciate you for becoming a member. If anybody else fancies becoming a member, there's a link down in the description, and smash the like button for me. But Pice, I'll start with you, as you were not here after Real Madrid. You know what, actually? I won't let you get negative all of a sudden. Because Charlie will be here in a little bit, and then we can talk about Real Madrid, because I obviously want his views as well. Why don't we start with the news on the Todd Boehly bid? Because Mark Walters, who is one of Todd Boehly's co-owners at the LA Dodgers, has now seemingly joined Todd Boehly's bids. Todd Boehly and Hans-Jörg Wyss and Jonathan Goldstein, is that his name? Their consortium's bid to buy Chelsea Football Club. Like I said, he is a co-owner of Todd Boehly at the LA Dodgers, which, if anything, is a good sign because the LA Dodgers seem like a well-run sports club. And the fact that now two of their owners could theoretically be some of our owners is a good thing, because just having Todd Boehly, there's not necessarily, I guess, a guarantee, because none of us know the exact ins and outs, who has how much control, who has how much power at the Dodgers. Now, if we have two of them, the likelihood of it being run similarly successfully is quite high. So just from that perspective, it's quite good. Even though him by himself is not the richest of people, I think his net worth is about 4.4 billion, I think, in dollars. But he is part of the Guggenheim, and that has assets worth $310 million. But again, it's assets, and as we've discussed previously, that only means so much. But Pice, could you, first of all, explain if I left anything out, and otherwise explain your thoughts, what that means, or if it means anything, if it changes anything in your head?
Yeah, good to be back. I think you said million as well. It's billion in terms of assets, but I'm sure you mentioned that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
10 billion, my bad. Yeah.
No, but yeah, it's a bit, I don't know, it's so hard still to talk about this takeover in terms of Boehly, in terms of Ricketts, Griffin, all those guys, because we don't really know finer details like shares, stakeholders, like who's the majority stakeholder, how much is Mark Walter putting into it? Is he going to be running it with Todd Boehly? Because the thing is, he's the guy who actually runs LA Dodgers. Like, he's the majority chairman or holder. So you'd think that he would be kind of more focused on the Dodgers, while Boehly, who owns 20%, would be more focused on Chelsea. Obviously, Boehly was at the game as well, which was good to see with the Chelsea scarf. I think a lot of fans were analysing whether it was a half and half scarf, but it wasn't. Which is
if it's a half and half scarf, getting back in the bin.
Yeah, but it was a full Chelsea scarf. So
go on.
I mean, yeah, no, I mean, I'm more up for them than the Ricketts, to be honest, because, like you said, we've got this guy on board now who's obviously been very good with it. The Dodgers have run very well. It's just, obviously, I know people are
sorry, Pice, can I just interject and ask, do we know, because you said Mark Walter is the guy that's mainly in charge of the Dodgers, but we don't know the split of shares at the Dodgers either. We know Boehly has 20, but do we know how much Walter has?
No, it's not been revealed, but he's like the majority owner. So I'm guessing he has, I don't know, the most. So he's the one who, like, when they won the World Series, I was watching an interview earlier. He was the one who addressed the fans in the stadium, and he was the one who collected the trophy and stuff. So I kind of regard him as the main owner.
I hear you.
Yeah, but I mean, I know it's hard for people not to be attracted to Ken Griffin's net worth and stuff. But for me, from the sporting perspective, what we can go off, I think Boehly seems like the best bet. But who knows at the end of the day? Like, we're only going to find out when someone actually takes over, in my opinion. So, we'll see.
100%. Very well said. I think that's the important part because, I mean, fans love to forget that. But the Arsenal owners are actually pretty damn wealthy. But they just don't spend enough money. And that's why, well, sometimes they do. And when they do, they spend it badly, like on Nicolas Pepe. But it's not the fact that they don't have money, which is why they're in the mud all the time. It's just about how you spend your money. So that's why I've not always necessarily been drawn to, what we need is whoever has the most money. We need a combination of whoever has the most money combined with being willing to spend that money. Because if you have, say, 100 billion, but you're only willing to spend 1 billion, then that is a lot less useful than if somebody has, say, 10 billion, but is willing to spend 2 billion. It all depends on what they're willing to spend, really. Charlie has joined us, and we'll get him up on screen now. But before we get to Charlie, I will actually get to Clutch. First of all, thank you as well for joining us, as always, of course, mate. I'm sure you've heard a little something about what's been going on in terms of Mark Walter being added to the consortium of Todd Boehly. Obviously, you being American, although not living anywhere near LA, and I'm not sure how interested at all you're in baseball. But does it change anything for you in your head? Is it a good thing that it almost gives us more security that we could be successfully run like the LA Dodgers if two of their owners are part of our owners, if that makes sense? Because that's kind of how I feel about it. It gives me, like I said, it just gives me a bit more security that it's going to be run similarly to that club. And we're all pretty, from the outside at least, the LA Dodgers look like a well-run franchise, club, sports entity, whatever you want to call it. Like I said, if it's just the guy that owns 20%, there's no guarantee he will actually do the same, because what if he's not the guy that calls the shots at the Dodgers? But now that the guy that actually does call the shots is also involved, for me, is a good thing. How do you feel about it, Clutch?
Well, I don't follow baseball as much these days. I used to. I know the Dodgers about 5 years ago were not that great. And then they started kind of investing a little bit. For me, I think it's more encouraging to see somebody else who's coming in from that ownership, I guess. Because, I mean, that just shows like they're willing to put the effort in all ways. So I think one of the things is the Dodgers have scouting, they have a board that makes the decisions, and they were put in place by that same ownership. So that is one of the things I think that is key for us. I think if whoever takes over, you have to put the board in place that is going to make the good scouting decisions, along with Thomas Tuchel, and gets us and backs us financially. So I think those are the three key points, and I think that this is something that starts to check the boxes. So, I mean, I'm still all the way for Boehly. He was there over the weekend, or over midweek, and I feel real bad that he got to see that. But hey, maybe that kind of encouraged him a little bit, thinking, maybe I can. This is where I see. Yeah, exactly. I understand what I need to do now. So for me, I'm encouraged
the
by
opposite of when Alonso plays a good game and the Chelsea board think we don't need another left wing back. The opposite happens. So maybe it's a good thing.
Exactly. So I'm pretty encouraged by it.
There you go. Yeah, similar thoughts, if I'm honest, Charlie. I'm not sure how well you've been able to keep up with the news of the day, but and obviously you haven't heard us discuss it in quite as much detail. But one other owner, the main owner, apparently, according to Pies, of the LA Dodgers, Mark Walter, has joined Todd Boehly's bid to buy Chelsea. In our eyes, this is a reasonably good thing, certainly not a bad thing. Any thoughts you would like to add to that? Of course, thank you for coming on, and we'll get to kind of dissecting a little bit about what happened against Madrid a couple of days ago after that. Go on, Charlie.
No, thanks for having me, mate. Always a pleasure. Yeah, I think as you boys said, I think it's a plus for sure. It's definitely not a negative. Not only does it bring more money, which is always a bonus. I know it's not just about the money. It's obviously what you do with it and how much of that money you're prepared to invest, as you said. So money's not everything, just because you've got X billions. If you're not prepared to invest a lot of it, then it's pointless. So, but yeah, I mean, it definitely looks positive. He's the main guy at the Dodgers. I don't really know anything about baseball, but from what I've seen on Twitter and from what people have been saying, the Dodgers are by all means, a well-run club. They're always competitive. They invest in the team. They're looking at ways of doing things. They're smart, data-driven approach. I think it ticks a lot of boxes, and for me, we could just make this process a lot simpler by just giving it to the Boehly consortium now and just moving on. They're the outstanding candidate. No one else really stacks up to them at all. So, yeah, I mean, that's just my thoughts on it, really. It's definitely a plus, and it ticks all the right boxes. So we just have to hope it's going to be them now.
There you go. Just as a very last thing about this takeover, the final or the deadline for final bids has been pushed back, but only by 3 days, mind you, as far as I'm aware, from the 11th of April to the 14th of April. So not like the biggest deal in the world. But is there anything else to add to that, Pies? Do we know why? Do we know anything more about that other than that it has been moved back?
It originally came out from Sky News, from that Mark Kleiman guy who's been very, very good. I think it was just more. I don't know why. Just they keep saying more time to submit binding offers. Apparently, a couple of the parties that were shortlisted were happy that it had been given them more time, considering the supposed how hard it is to do the deal, basically. The difficulties within it. So, it's annoying for the fans, but I mean, it's only been pushed back 3 days. So it's April 14th now instead of April 11th, which is the Thursday instead of the Monday, I believe. Yeah, the Monday. So, yeah, it's only 3 days, but still, seems like it just keeps going on and on and on. And they said, they want it done by May, or Rain want it done by end of April, but Premier League think it's going to be in May by the time they do all the background checks and all that stuff. So, I mean, the main concern for me is obviously the summer transfer window. And this is why I think initially Marina will stay, because we're probably, we're going to have our targets, obviously, that we're looking at. Even Fabrizio's already mentioned Rafinha. They'll be doing stuff behind the scenes, but obviously the new owners coming in May will make it very hard for them to actually, review transfer targets and all that, because the summer window starts pretty much then. And also the thing, no offense to these owners, but initially to start off with, how much do they know about, targets across the world in football? Like, this is a new adventure for all of them, except obviously Jonathan Goldstein and Daniel Finkelstein, who are on Boehly's board, who actually watch the Premier League, know a lot about football. So it's an advantage to them as well, because, the Ricketts don't have that on their board. So, these two are the favourites, clearly. So, yeah.
I mean, you say that, though. As far as I'm aware, Mark Walter is the guy that has brought this extremely data-driven analysis of everything at the Dodgers to the Dodgers, more so than Boehly himself actually has. So, again, another good thing, in my opinion, Mark Walter joining that consortium. But if they are data-driven anyway, you don't need to know football to be data-driven. If you're data-driven and if you have the right pieces of data, it's fine.
You also have that Daniel Finkelstein, who I keep mentioning. I feel like he's going to be, if they win, I feel like he's going to be like a silent kind of guy. He's going to be the one in the background, because he works on a lot of football data, and he's done like articles and columns. Apparently he's like quite famous for it. So it sounds exciting, but obviously I'm still so cautious, because things are changing every day, and we haven't heard any supposed plans yet from Boehly himself. He's kind of been quiet. Obviously, the Ricketts put that list out. And even when they do, to be honest, I mean, I looked at the Ricketts one. I hardly even read it, because I just take this sort of thing with an air of caution anyway, because, they're all going to sound good, right? They're all going to sound great, because they want to win the bid and they want to win the fans over. So, yeah.
I do hear that. Jester, appreciate you very much for the donation. Saying, with a 70% salary cap coming in to replace financial fair play, scouting and signing players based on system and potential will be paramount, or this will be paramount. Now, I will be honest, I saw that it will be replaced. I haven't done my due diligence yet and read up on what exactly is happening, what exactly is changing. If I'm being totally honest with you, Jester, I'm sure when I have, we'll talk about it in more detail, potentially on Monday ahead of the Madrid game. I'll go back to you, Perch, just because you're the guy for the news. Do you know much about this? Or because, I mean, in general, whether there's financial fair play or a salary cap or whatever, scouting and signing players based on system and potential is always important anyway. But is it becoming more paramount in your opinion as well, Pies?
I'm not too sure on this. I only read it yesterday, but I think from the report I did see it was kind of hinting that it'd be more damaging to City and PSG or Real Madrid, one of those clubs. I don't know, but yeah, like you said, like all the new owners are going to be more data based anyway. I think even in the Athletic they said it would be the same with Ricketts and all that. So I don't know. This is why I think like people assuming that Ken Griffin's just going to come in if the Ricketts win and spend loads of money. It's not even feasible anyway because of rules. You can't just come in and put say, oh, here's 200 million for transfers. It don't work like that anymore. So yeah, it all has to be planned out and calculated in terms of windows themselves.
Do you know when this salary cap is coming in to replace financial fair play? Is that next year? Is it
not sure?
2 years?
Not sure.
I'm not sure either. But usually when FIFA decide things like that, it doesn't happen from one day to another. That's for sure. But yeah, Man City are in the mud a little bit. Of course, they've been in the mud in that sense for years and nothing's been done about it. So let's see if something is done about it now. But fair play to the Spiegel from Germany. Seems to be a 4-year investigation into the matter. So seems to be quite detailed for sure. Just makes you think. What would be possible if the right people paid attention to the right things. But yeah, just as a last thing in terms of when the takeover will be over, the thing that I'm still, or I'm not confused, is maybe the wrong word, but what I'm still unsure about is how the process works. Because once Reign, Chelsea, and the government have signed off a potential new owner, and then he goes to the Premier League fit for purpose test, that is only then a Premier League thing. So that doesn't necessarily affect business, right? Not officially anyway. So should we then, once the government have agreed to it, even if the takeover isn't completely done yet because we're waiting for Premier League's approval, should the sanctions then still already be lifted, meaning we can at least start going out and at least know for sure by then that we'll be able to do things in the summer? Because I mean, you tweeted it earlier, Pies, that what's his face, Fabio Carvalho, am I saying that right? From Fulham, who we were interested in, now seems to be having agreed a deal to join Liverpool. He's a very young player. It's not like we're signing him to be in the starting 11, but still, that's my hope. But I'm not really sure if anyone knows at what point we'll be able to do things. Do we have to wait for the Premier League? Do we not? I mean, Pies, jump in if you know, but otherwise, I think we'll just move on now. Surf saying here, the salary cap is starting this summer, but got 3 seasons to get down to 70%. All right, fair enough then. Well, let's see how that goes. I mean, our wage bill is certainly not low, but compared to a lot of other teams, it's not like the big problem with our wage bill is more that we have so many players on it rather than having players with stupendous wages, kind of Lukaku and maybe Werner are the only ones, and Kante, but Kante is at least more justified with stupendous wages on them. But yeah, let's see how the next few goes. Did you see Law article? I did see it, but I haven't read it. If it's important enough, Pies, that you think we should highlight it, then let's do so.
All right, I'll send it. Yeah, it's about the players and stuff, what they're thinking. So I'll send it to you, bro. Yeah,
all I read was basically Matt Law's tweet about it, saying that the players are a little bit concerned that this kind of, this unknown situation of where we can't really go for players yet and sign things in the summer, blah, blah, could leave us left behind Man City and Liverpool. Could theoretically be the case, but
yeah, give me a couple of minutes. I'll send it to you, bro.
All good. You know what? Let's talk about other things first, and then we'll get back to it if we get there. Or not if we get there, but so we can cover the time for the time being. Real Madrid. Thomas Tuchel was absolutely livid after the game. Personally, slightly surprised by how livid he was, if I'm honest, after the game. I'll explain that in a minute. I mean, I explained it on Twitter, but potentially you might not have seen that. But I was fuming. I was fuming. He was fuming. Even today in the press conference, he's like, yeah, no, well, we can't be doing shit like that. We need to be better. What is this? And even talking about the meeting they had, he was kind of asked, like, what happened? What did the player say? Type thing. And he was like, well, it wasn't really a meeting where they were allowed to give their opinions. It was more of a meeting what I told them what was happening kind of thing, which I'm a big fan of. I know Pice was talking to me yesterday when we just sent a voice notes across, and he was like a little bit worried, but if you lose the dressing room. Now, personally, I think we're still very far off that. I think, because Tuchel is not a stupid man. He will have video footage of proving why he's upset about those things. So if the players didn't work hard enough in his opinion, and he has footage to show them, see, here's what you could have run better or more or faster or were in the wrong spot. If the players listen, if there's no basis to be annoyed at Tuchel, then if they actually effed up, I don't think that will be a major concern. But Charlie and Pice, obviously, I'll start with you, Charlie. Neither of you were here on the player ratings. Now it's 2 days since. How do you feel about the Madrid game? Because, I mean, I guess in combination with the Brentford game, but it's just Did you feel it was a case of we were just not good enough on the day? Was it a case of where you were just angry at just how bad we were? Because if I'm being honest, why I'm so surprised at how annoyed Tuchel was is outside of the 3, 4, 5 defensive errors which led to 3 goals. Outside of that, I think we played how we have played for weeks. If I'm honest, like we pass it as slowly every game. Whenever Kante plays, he thinks he's second striker, which is a problem every game. Doesn't matter who we play against; it's always a problem. So he's clearly not going against the instructions. Otherwise, this wouldn't be happening every game. And we struggle to break teams down, especially when we don't have Ben Chilwell and Reece James. Reece James only having started 2 games in 2022. I'm not exactly surprised by how we played, if I'm honest. The only thing that surprised me is the bad defending, if I'm honest. But Charlie, how do you feel about it?
Mate, I'm not surprised about how he played at all. I felt quite confident going into the game, like before the Brentford game. But as soon as we had that humiliation against Brentford, it sort of planted a slight seed of doubt that actually, we could get turned over again. And let's make no mistake about it. We could have lost 4, 5, 6-1. They had plenty of opportunities. Benzema missed a good chance where he put it just wide. Vinicius obviously hit the bar. They had opportunities. I know we had opportunities as well. People say we had chances. Yeah, we had the clear-cut header with Lukaku, which he should have scored. But other than that, we're talking about chances of shots from fullbacks. We weren't creating any chances. The wide players were anonymous. Pulisic was poor. Mount was poor. What are these guys doing? We're not creating any chances. People aren't even taking players on. Instead of taking players on, they just turn around and pass it back. Like, what is the point of those attacking players being there? They're not even going to try and take people on. I thought, defense was, as you said, mate, the defense was really concerning. It's the fact now that in back-to-back games, not just one defender in the 3 or the 5, whatever you want to call it, all of them terrible. Like Thiago Silva, we had 2 of his worst games in a Chelsea shirt in the last 4 or 5 days. Rudiger been poor as well, other than his screamer that went in. Awful. Christensen had a shocker, subbed at half-time, rightfully so. But in his defence, it wasn't all on him. Reece James leaving far too much space between him and Christensen, and Vinicius was just having an absolute field day in that game. But
let me jump in there actually, Charlie, because in the press conference today, Thomas Tuchel said something super interesting, where he explained that we defended in a back 4 in both games, so including against Real Madrid, also in the first half when we played a back 3. We defended in the 4 with Aspi dropping in as a left back and kind of Christensen defending as a right back. Obviously a bit more narrow probably than a natural right back or a proper right back. But still, the fact that he said that, we did that, and it failed so miserably, again, why?
Yeah, I don't know. But it is a concern that, look, it's 2 games, but it happens to be a really important point of the season, probably our most important month of the season, with the 2 legs against Madrid, the semi-final against Crystal Palace coming up as well. And suddenly it seems like we've forgotten how to defend. And I know there's a lot going on off the pitch and Tuchel in his personal life, etc. But these last 2 games, he's got everything wrong in both of them. Like, just in terms of not starting Kovacic against Madrid, in terms of the tactics, the formation against Brentford, the personnel all wrong there, the substitutions. I'm not like thinking, oh shit, I'm really worried. But it gets to the point that if we were to not win this game against Southampton, you're then starting to think, shit, are we heading into another sort of December period of form like we had in December? But as you said, despite picking up decent results, we haven't played that well in a number of games. We haven't been playing well, but we've been getting by, and that's fine. But I just think Ancelotti got the better of Tuchel from a tactical perspective. Yes, okay, you can't help it when goalkeeper makes an individual error. That's not on the manager. You can't help that. But that basically ended the game for us pretty much, and it ended the tie. In all honesty, look, I know it's possible in the second leg to do something, but let's be serious about this. It's highly unlikely. But you still believe, but it's unlikely. And then you think, right, okay, we're playing for the FA Cup in 3rd place. But yeah, realistically, mate, I wasn't surprised at all. I think performances like this have been coming for a while. I'm just surprised it's not come sooner. But it's just a worry that apart from Kai Havertz, we look so toothless in attack. Apart from Kovacic, there's nothing in midfield. and we've forgotten how to defend. And Mendy, his weaknesses have been exposed completely in these last 2 games. He's awful with his feet, terrible, and that's got to improve as well. So there's a few areas areas all over the pitch that have got to improve, and I'm just worried that in the space from Wednesday to Saturday, is anything really going to have changed? Are we going to suddenly see something loads better against Southampton? I'm not so sure.
Well, I guess we'll find out if Thomas Tuchel's hairdryer is anyone near as strong as the famous Alex Ferguson hairdryer. I guess that's what we'll find out tomorrow. I mean, Jester said it there, Mendy cost us 2 goals, not 1. I agree, actually. He could save that. I don't think he has anything he can do about the second header by Benzema. The first one, I mean, the tricky part is he doesn't know is Benzema going to head it down, left, right, up. That's the part he doesn't know, so that's why it's super late reaction to try and get it. But still, I think on his day, he saves it. What I found interesting about Thomas Tuchel today is how he said Mendy has always had these mistakes in him, which I was very glad almost that he highlighted it, because it's fact. He made mistakes plenty of times in the last year and a half, whatever. Just more often than not, they were either he made up for them himself, the opponent didn't punish us, example against Brentford, or some of his teammates bailed him out, essentially. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned it there in terms of we can't take anyone on. The frustrating thing to me is it doesn't matter who we play in these wide 10 formations and wide 10 positions. We just have no idea whatsoever how to put these players into useful positions, other than when the opponent plays a high line and we can play on a counter-attack. That's the only situation where we know how to put them into a somewhat useful position. Like Mount and Pulisic were definitely poor against Real Madrid. There's no 2 questions about it. But how many useful passes did they receive? Sure, how many useful runs did they make? But as a whole team, I'm not even trying to take them out of this blame. As a team, we have no idea how to make these 2 positions work, which is why I ask myself, why are we playing the position? But I say that we've tried different formations and the other positions have been equally as useless. So it's just, I just don't know. Like we have no idea what, like we when we watch other things, whether it's Dembele, whether it's whoever we see play, and you see these players dribble and run through players like it's nothing. If those players were playing for us in those positions, they wouldn't do it either, because we don't give them the ball where they can take on anybody, because we never allow our wide players to go in 1v1 situations against anyone. They come up against people and there's always 2, 3, 4 oppositions in front of them every time. While what did we do with Vinicius? Made sure he had only Christians to deal with on every occasion. Of course, Vinicius is going to thrive with that. That's the part that's baffling to me. That's the part that's baffling. Pies, I had you hold out there for very long. Give us your thoughts on the Madrid game. Have those thoughts changed slightly between Wednesday night and now, for example?
Not really, no. I'm still very disappointed with the players, first and foremost, because I think they could have just took so much more responsibility. Like I was saying, it wasn't even a case of taking people on, which I was very disappointed with. The 2 wide forwards, like Charlie said, constantly passing the ball back. We just looked afraid of Madrid, and I just, I came out of that game thinking, like, where was the mentality gone from last season? And you guys saying that we were surprised, or you wasn't surprised that we played that way. I was, because I thought after the Brentford game, we would go into the Champions League. We're the reigning champions. Like last season, we had that mentality. We had that hunger to prove anyone who dared doubt us wrong. That, you know what, we was going to fight you. We was going to scrap. We was going to take you on. We was going to do everything. We was going to win every second ball. We was going to defend like I don't even know what annotation I could use, but you know what I mean. We was warriors last season, bro. Where has that gone? People in the stands, the fans were just like, what is this game? Like, they were not passing forward. It was so slow. No one was taking anyone on. Players would receive the ball, like Pulisic a number of times, where him and Mount could have just turned around and gone forward, but instead they saw a Madrid player coming towards them, passed it back. So that slowed our attacks down. Like, there was not enough risk taken. Havertz scored a good goal, but even still, bro, like the main thing for me was the pressing was awful. The pressing was a joke. The midfield was so far away from each other. Kante was like playing as a fucking striker, and Jorginho was fucking miles away from the Madrid players, bro. And I don't really know who to blame because, like, Jorginho was left on 3-on-1 situations in midfield, but at the same time, when he got on the ball, he was shit with it. I know he got the assist, but I'm talking about the whole game. He was shit with it. He was so slow at passing the ball forward. You've probably seen that clip where bro, he's like running and running and running like he's in fucking slow motion.
Running, yeah.
Yeah, bro, you should have seen that. The fans were like screaming, "Pass it forward, go, go!" Like,
And then he overhits it.
I'm just baffled. Like, I'm honestly baffled. That's why I got so annoyed because I just don't understand how you could produce that display when you're the reigning holders of this competition. Like, you've beat Real Madrid last season. I just don't understand it. I don't know what to say. I'm just baffled, honestly, more than anything, because, like Tuchel said, like, same formation. We didn't change anything, but we've conceded 7 in the last 2 games. He's confused. Yeah, fair enough. Like, maybe he was wrong. But the thing is as well, I don't know what you guys think, but obviously Vinicius against Christensen, I didn't have a problem with that before the game. It was only after the game where people were like, oh, Tuchel shouldn't have done that. Well, who else are you going to play right centre-back then?
I agree with you completely there, Pies. I think the problem wasn't Christensen. It wouldn't have mattered whether that was Chalobah or Reece James, even as a right centre-back, or Aspie as a right centre-back. Wouldn't have changed a thing, in my opinion. Because the way we defended and the way they attacked, 1v1, that would have always been exploited. The problem that we had is that we never made it 2v1. And whenever Thiago did, Rudiger didn't cover for him in the middle. And that's how we conceded the first goal. Because, again, we did the same thing as Kante did against Brentford. Thiago Silva did against Real Madrid, which just leaves Benzema. I'm like, excuse me, Benzema, one of the best strikers this whole sport has ever seen, and you think it's more important to block across? Sorry?
Right.
Mental.
The thing for me, watching that game in the stands that was most alarming was the space Madrid had in midfield. Because I felt like if we won that midfield battle, we would win the game at home. The midfield is such an important area. And I kept saying, like, they're technicians. Casemiro, Modric, Kroos. You give them time on the ball, they'll find Vinicius. They'll find, the play. They'll find Valverde was brilliant as well, by the way. Such a good player. They ran all over us, bro. It was embarrassing to watch, honestly. I just don't know where our structure's gone, bro. Every time they went forward, I thought they was going to score. Yeah, fair enough. They've got good players, but how solid was we last season? Same with Brentford. Every time they attacked down the sides, I was like, shit. Like, I was scared. Every time down the sides, bro. Last season, never a case. Last season, we dominated midfield in the Champions League. That's why Jorginho and Kante were so formidable, because they actually performed well. But I don't know what it is. Tuchel said we're not changing the structure. So then why are they pressing? Why is Kante pressing as a striker? Why is Jorginho like fucking left 3-on-1s? But then at the same time,
yeah, exactly.
What's going on? What's changed?
And you're right. Sorry, Price, to interrupt you. You're right in that Jorginho wasn't good on the ball. I completely agree with that. But when people criticize him defensively, I'm like, I mean, yeah, it wasn't good. But who would be 3-on-1? No matter who you are. And to top things off, not only is that difficult anyway, but we know he's slow as shit and weak as shit. So I'm even more questioning why the manager allowed it, that he was 3-on-1 constantly. I mean, I guess he took Kante off at halftime and it helped a little bit, but then obviously Mendy ruined it. But still, I'm just like, sometimes I just question some of our fans, because I'm like, I mean, yeah, be angry, I get it, but why are you angry at a player losing a 3v1? Which player wouldn't?
Yeah. Another problem I had as well, I saw a comment saying, like, Ancelotti did well because they had numerical advantage in the field. Yes, but at the same time, that's where, like, because Valverde was playing out on the right, and Modric was on the left, they tucked inside, which is what I thought they was going to do. But still, they was out on the width and on the
Modric shouldn't play on the left, bro. Modric was their right centre mid. Kroos was their left centre mid. Because Valverde still played kind of a winger, but he dropped in, obviously, to make it a...
Wait, you cut out. What did you say? Something about Modric?
I said Modric wasn't their left midfielder, it was their right midfielder. Or right centre mid, rather, not right midfielder.
Oh, what? Was it Valverde? They were definitely both out, because I noticed them a lot out on the sides, but then they were tucking in.
Yeah, Valverde was their right winger, essentially.
Yeah.
And when out of possession, he dropped into midfield. But otherwise, their midfield was kind of as usual, except that Cruz dropped very wide left, I think, and Mendy came into midfield often, or Mendy came to midfield at least. That's how they dragged Reece James away from Christensen and Vinicius, and that's how they made sure Vinicius was always in the 1v1, because Reece was dragged away by trying to press Mendy, but Mendy wasn't where he was supposed to be in our tactical plan.
That's what I had the problem with as well, was what I was going to say is every time like the ball went out wide and they had more numbers in midfield, I just felt like we didn't like get on them quick enough. Like the fullbacks, the wingbacks, like they just had so much time on the ball. Like it was just, it just looked like inside the stadium, it just seemed like the players were being lazy. There was a lot of groans and stuff. And obviously when we scored, like it was great. But like Tuchel said as well, like anticipation, like second balls, getting tight to players, like getting tight to Vinicius. It never happened. Like he was allowed to run off players. And it was just Benzema as well, bro. Like when we done the predicted lineup, we was like, oh yeah, Silva would step out to take Benzema, and you know, like we was doing that little thing where we knew Benzema would drop deep, but we was thinking like, oh, don't worry, like because we'll be on them. We was never on Benzema. Benzema had literally ran the game. It was just embarrassing how easy he had it. Honestly, he must have thought it was the easiest night of his life, and to have that against the defense like we had last season, it's just embarrassing. I don't know. I know the third goal was a mistake and stuff like that, but still, I mean, 3 goals at home, it's not good enough. And Tuchel would have gone nuts yesterday. And it's going to be very interesting to see tomorrow whether it's worked or not, or whether it's, you know, modern day players, you know, going to take offense to every little bit of criticism and spit their dummies out, which has happened so many times over the years at Chelsea. I don't want to go through another situation with that, because it can very easily happen with these modern players, bro. Like most of them can't take criticism. They can't take being shouted at. They always think they're right. You know, they got the arrogance, they got the money, they get paid a week. I hate modern football. So yeah, we'll see what team he puts out as well, because I'm very interested. Like, I mean, if he's very ruthless, I don't think many of those players play, honestly, that played Real Madrid. But at the same time, again, we've got a lack of options in some positions, so we'll see.
It's a weird one, yeah. I mean, I do agree with you, actually. I know I said I wasn't surprised by how we played with that. I meant more our attacking play and lack thereof, for the most part. Well, I completely agree with you. The fact that we were so poor on second balls, that we were so far away from players. I mean, Vinicius, maybe I understand a bit more, because if you get close to someone that's that quick, he's past you so easily, and if you stand off him a little bit, it gives you that split second to react to what they're going to do to defend it, which is why a lot of players always stood off of Hazard, stand off of Messi, stand off of Neymar when they're in reasonable form. And that's so that part I understand, but in general, I completely agree. And the press, man, like, I mean, we stood very high as a team, but that's the emphasis. We stood. We didn't run press. We just stood. I mean, how Kai tried this thing. Pulisic and Mount had their moments. Kante had his moments, but they all had moments by themselves. We never pressed as a whole. And when we pressed as a whole, it was Kante, Mount, Havertz, and Pulisic, those 4, and no one else. And then exactly like Pies mentioned, the next line of players, Reece James, Aspie, Jorginho, and the 3 centre-backs were kilometers behind them. Like, it's only a size of a football pitch, but it felt like if they were bloody at London Stadium. That's how far away it looked. Not in the same ground. It was mental. Like, absolutely mental. I don't understand. I mean, we'll get to what we think we should happen for Southampton in terms of dropping players and stuff in a minute. But let me actually get to Clutch. Clutch, you've been here for a while, and I haven't allowed you to say that much, so I do very much apologize. Just wanted to get Charlie's and Pice's thoughts on the game, which we obviously haven't heard just yet. So now I'll ask you. Of course, I did speak to you after the game. I gave my own thoughts, obviously. But I'll ask you, have your thoughts and views of things slightly changed since the game, or is it similar?
Well, as you know, I love hearing everybody else's point of view, and I think for me, it has changed a little bit. I read an article by Liam Twomey from The Article, or Athletic, that Pius sent me the other day, and I thought it was a very good article, and it basically outlined how Ancelotti just outcoached us. That's all it was, is he just basically outcoached Tuchel. He put players into positions where it pretty much cut out our attack. Like, he was leaving Pulisic or Mount to have to take on 3 or 4 players. And I mean, we're so used to, as a fan base, having Hazard, who we know will take on those 3 or 4 players and beat them 9 times out of 10. I don't think Pulisic is unable to do it, but I don't think he's going to do it with the manager that we have, that wants possession. We want to play those.
Sorry, Clutch. Can I just intervene there? Because like on Pulisic, bro, he could have shown so much more authority in that game, in that Real Madrid game, bro. There's no excuse whether you're a possession-based manager or not to actually take players on. You can't tell me that Tuchel don't want players to turn and run with the ball. Like every time Pulisic and Mount got the ball, they would just fucking pass it back. Like everyone in the stadium was saying the same thing. Like I can't remember any time where they turned and dribbled at someone. I'm like, do you expect to beat Real Madrid by doing this? Like I was baffled. There was no runs. There was no anything. Like both of them were invisible. Honestly, like keep going on your point.
I agree half of that.
Like just
let me ask Ty for one question before you go back to your Clutch. What I'd ask you is the way we played and the way the rest of the team moved. Even if Pulisic and Mount did that, where would they have gone with it though? Because in those positions where they had those chances, that was at the slightly in our own half, maybe in the edge of their half. So even if they turn and beat a player, first of all, they're not Hazard. Second of all, even Hazard, you can't expect to do that all the time. So you can't probably expect them to beat 3 or 4 players, especially once you get to their defenders. Even if they beat one, where are they going to play it? They're going to play it to Havertz, who has no other options, and who then has to pass it back anyway. That's why what I'm saying is I agree with you. They were both poor, and I don't think they should be excused by any means. But we don't give them the ball in situations where they can take players on easily as well, because it's never one. Mount, I don't know. But Pulisic, I think, would try to take one player on if he has the chance. But it was always 2, 3, or 4. And then obviously we already made mistakes on the weekend. We already made mistakes in the very game. Then as a player, you're going to be more hesitant to dribble because if you lose the ball, just like Ruben Loftus-Cheek, the whole fan base will now think you're shit because he does take players on, loses the ball, he gets scrutinized. Pulisic doesn't take players on, he's also scrutinized. Like, what do you want them to do? We need to have a system where we actually allow players to take one on, not always 4. Because if you're not Hazard, basically, or Messi, or maybe Neymar, you're not Vinicius. You're not going to achieve it.
But Pulisic has the amazing dribbling. We've seen it. So why is
he doesn't these days, though, does he?
Yeah, but that's my problem with it. Is like he's starting based on his dribbling and his ability to take a game by the scruff of the neck. Like he does it for USA, and I'm not saying it's completely different, but you see the authority he has and the respect he commands on the pitch. Like, if you're in that forward front three, like, you've got to try and get on the ball. You've got to try and do something. Bro, I'm telling you now, there were so many times, specifically Thiago Silva in the middle, right, where Jorginho and Kante were in their positions perfect. We was on the ball. We had the ball in the back line. We could have played a ball straight through the middle to Havertz or to left and right to Mount, because a lot of times they were tucking in and like kind of half asking for the ball, but not like, you know, Thiago Silva was stalling on it. And we was just like, I'm just like, someone come, like actually call for the ball, take command, pick the ball up and go. Like,
but also Thiago Silva, being 37 years old, play it.
Yeah, but like that's what I mean. He didn't know who to play it to because no one called for the ball. That's what I'm saying. They were all standing there like 3 idiots. They were just standing there, bro. So many times.
I think that's letting Thiago and the whole defenders off very easily.
No, because
they need to play it quicker as well.
But my problem is not the attack. It was everything behind the attack.
No, it was the attack. A lot of the attack was useless, bro. To getting us forward, it was useless.
Look at that thing you sent me yesterday. Look at all the pictures. That picture tells you everything. Liam Toomey made a very good point. Once Pulisic turned, it would be Carvajal, Militao, or Casemiro, or even Valverde came back and ran against him. He was getting triple-doubled every time. He wasn't going to be able to get past that. It's not fair to him to tell him to do that. Sure, sometimes I would like him to try. Sure, I agree. But I'm not saying they weren't poor, because they were. You have to try more. But at the same time, Real Madrid just outcoached us. That's all it was. We got put in situations where we had to use the right. Because the left had only Azpilicueta and Jorginho, who is the left-sided midfielder, and then Pulisic. And we know Aspi and both Jorginho are not offensive. So if we put them into situations, you just have Pulisic by himself and you're asking him to create magic. I get it. I mean, be upset with him. It's fine. I get it. But we can't sit here and say, oh, he's terrible because of that.
He was terrible in this game.
He was.
Mount was shit as well.
They both were.
Mount was awful.
You know what I was baffled by? Pulisic played, 65 minutes until he came off? And he had more touches than Mount to play the whole game. That was
Bro,
very simple.
all Mount did in that game was flick his hair. That's all he did. He didn't do anything, bro. He was woeful. But I'm more harsher on Pulisic because he is the actual forward and he's the one that I thought in this game would take some control, but he didn't.
He should have. But we went out there thinking this was Zidane's Madrid, and it wasn't. It's Ancelotti's. They defended Pulisic well. That's all it was.
But
And we just
look at the screenshot I sent you. That is similar to Madrid's first goal, right? Where Vinicius played a 1-2 with Benzema. Like, from here, he passed back. Why would you pass back there? Like, if you're quick and incisive, you can go. He's beating Carvajal in that race if he plays that to Havertz and Havertz plays it back. It's simple patterns of play like that we don't do or think of. That's the problem with this team. It's too wishy-washy. It's so annoying, honestly.
So you're asking him to play that pass where Militao has the
Now,
ability.
this screenshot is, I think, not... This is why I don't usually go by written analysis of anything, because if he actually passes it there, the pass doesn't come off because Havertz is just stopping and turning to make a deep run while Militao is moving forward. So if he passes there, Militao will easily intercept that pass and we get counterattacked. But that's not your fault, Pies, for bringing this moment up. If the screenshot was probably taken 1 second earlier, you will be right. But the screenshot is just bad. Not your fault that they picked a bad screenshot. But if he passed it there, you can see that Havertz is leaning on his left foot, turning. You can see it. You can literally just look at him. And you can see that Militao is slowly moving forward. So if Pulisic fed him, he would just intercept the pass.
That's my problem as well. It's not solely on Pulisic. I'm not just blaming Pulisic.
No. I know you're not.
I'm just saying that's an instant there, right there. If those two were connected together and they were just full throw, Havertz comes for the ball. He plays a quick 1-2. Pulisic is literally in. Carvajal's not catching him. It's a 2-on-1. Alaba will come across. Mount goes forward. Like, that's a good chance. But we
Havertz
don't
is never getting that ball. Militao is there.
If he come for the ball.
Militao is facing the ball.
Yeah, if Kai came for the ball,
like it's Vinicius to Benzema, the first goal. Look at it, it's the same thing. I know Benzema had more space, but it could be the same pattern of move. We didn't do that.
Price is still right because, like I said, the screenshot is just too late. If you go back 2 seconds, Militao will be further away, while Kai will be more moving towards Pulisic, and then it would work. And then Pai's 100% right. You feed it into Kai, you make the run around Carvajal, you play it through, and then you have to hope the cutback works. Chances are the cutback wouldn't work, we wouldn't score anyway. Other chances that Pulisic will touch Carvajal somewhere. Carvajal will make the dive of the century, win Olympic gold, and they get a free kick because that's what happened all of the game. Like when he fell over, was it on a Pulisic touch? I can't remember. Someone touched him, and the guy was rolling on the floor. He was barely touched, the little scum. Do you know what I mean?
I'm surprised Danny Carvajal was able to get back up after getting shot.
Just never came. Go on,
but like, I'm just saying, like, that's just one instance where, like, we would go forward and it would just go back every time. Like, I don't know why everyone was so. I don't know. It was just like, oh no, it's all right. We'll get it next time. You know, like it was so like lackadaisical. Like it was weird. I don't know what was up with our attackers, man.
Mate, the fact that Azpilicueta offered more attacking threat than Pulisic or Mount in that game says it all.
Charlie, what did you think? Because you was at the game, Charlie.
No, I wasn't at the game. I wasn't at the game, mate. My brother was at the game. No, I wasn't there. But mate, I just think that look, it's easy to blame players as a collective unit. We weren't good enough. But the fact, that I know it's hard to take people on if it's 2 against 1, 3 against 1. But I always think attacking players should at least try. The fact constantly going back is useless. It's pointless. We didn't put any balls into the box. Like Azpilicueta had more of a threat. He was putting balls in. It had a few shots from shot from distance. Great save from Courtois. Like when your fullbacks are more effective or more threatening than your attacking players, it's a problem. Like Pulisic's been in great form for us. It was a poor day. Mount's been poor, in my opinion, for a good few games now. He's not been delivering. As Pi said, he spends more time flicking his hair, and he shouldn't be any less immune to criticism than any other players. He's been awful. Pulisic was awful in that game, but in isolation, this is probably his first poor game in a good few, and it does happen. It's just unfortunate that it happened in our biggest game of the season. But I mean, it's more of a worry collectively as the attackers, not just this game, but in general for me. Like none of these guys take any players on. Like no one. it's almost like they're scared, or they don't have the confidence in their own ability to do it, or they just choose not to. I refuse to believe that Thomas Tuchel is telling these wide players not to take people on one-on-one. I just don't believe that to be true. But I don't know what we can do to get more out of these players, because it doesn't matter who seems to play in those, if it's winger positions, 10 positions, just don't really offer anything at all. And as you said at the top, Laurenz, if we had a Dembele or we had someone else, we see what they're doing at other teams. Full well they'll come here and they'd be shit. Like, I don't know what the solution to this problem is, because it's not just a problem
I will also say one other thing, right? This screenshot is also from the second half. After we changed things, number one brought Cobb on, which already helped drastically, but also switched things. And let's not ignore the fact that we could have at least gotten back into the tie with a 3-2. Maybe even gotten a draw out of this if we just took the chances we did create in the second half. We had the chances.
But it's always that, though, isn't it? It's always if we took our chances. We never take our chances.
Obviously, but what I'm trying to say with that is the second half was at least a little bit better, because in the first half, other than the goal, other than the goal, did we have a single moment where we could have scored? I can't remember one.
Yeah, no, it's fair. It wasn't a good performance, but I think it just again highlights, problems in midfield for sure. And I think this game was the most obvious that there's big decisions have to be made in central midfield over the summer, 100%. With the likes of, obviously, over Kante and Jorginho, they're both not going to get new contracts. Someone needs to be sold this summer, one of them two. If this game doesn't highlight how much we need a defensive midfield player, I don't know what will. So, yeah, I mean, there's cause for concern. Attack, same issues. Apart from Havertz, everyone's been pretty bang average, really. And yeah, midfield needs. And we need help in there. The fact that Kovacic, who's our best midfield player, doesn't start in our biggest game of the season, or hasn't been starting much recently, I just don't get it. But
no,
yeah,
me neither.
I don't understand.
One last thing with this
we need, you know what we need? We need a Matic, bro. We need someone who progresses the ball fast, one touch, but can also screen the defense. We don't have that, and is physical. It's as simple as that. Like the only progressive passer we have is Kovacic, and Jorginho is, I'm sorry, but he's not as progressive as he used to be. Like, he's tailed off so much.
He's just in bad form, right?
And Kante I won't even talk about, bro. Kante is, I don't know what the fuck's happened to that guy, but
we'll actually talk about Kante in a second. One last thing I want to say about this screenshot is, because I see a couple of people, Gorilla here, criticizing Havertz for it. Now, what Havertz has done is not bad here. Havertz came short. The ball could have come in that period by Pulisic. But now that the ball didn't come, Havertz, as you can clearly see on the screenshot, is stopping as Militao is coming across, and will now, just after the screenshot, will run in behind Militao. Now, if Pulisic wanted to do that and would be capable of playing that ball, he could also swing one over the top for Havertz to then be one over the goalkeeper. The movement from Havertz isn't bad. Yeah, maybe could have come a bit closer, but the ball could have come. And the run is also good. Obviously, it forces Pulisic into playing a difficult ball, but once Militao has closed up with Havertz, that's the only option Havertz has. Use the fact that you dragged Militao, turn and go. And that's what he actually did do. But the ball then didn't come. It's a difficult ball. I'm probably not expecting anyone in our team to play that ball. If I'm being perfectly honest with you, maybe Ziyech on his left foot, but that's it, if I'm honest. Let me get that screenshot off screen, because like I say, I think it's a bit fickle when we, and I'm not trying to criticize you by that when I say that, Pice, but I think it's a bit fickle when we say Pulisic was bad, Man was bad. And I know we can list off all the players, but I still think we need to, honestly think Tuchel is making this life a bit easy by almost saying, we're just we're not doing things right. We're not. I agree with that. But he was only talking about defensive things. He was saying, we didn't attack right, but he meant that in terms of once we lost the ball, in that we were out of shape for counter-pressing. Is also true. But have you not realized that we've been incapable of attacking properly for months and months and months, Thomas? We haven't allowed any, how can it be? Bad form, sure. Not as good as Vinicius, also sure. But we're all very aware that a player like Christian Pulisic can dribble. We're all aware of it. Now, why doesn't he do it? I don't think it's as simple as saying, oh, he had a bad day and that's why he chose not to do it. You need to put players into positions where they can do it. How often
Maybe
was
he's
Pulisic
afraid of getting
in
injured as
positions
well.
that Vinicius was in yesterday? And again, I'm not saying Pulisic shouldn't do better regardless, but our system doesn't allow it, I think. Because since Thomas Tuchel has been here, when has any player dribbled past players? Think about it. Has that ever happened on a consistent basis other than when it was a pure moment of magic? No. And why is that?
I think a lot of it has to do with the back three because we require ultra hybrid wingbacks, one who can defend and one who can go up and attack. Once you lose one of those or both of those, it starts changing. I know, but we can't play a back four either. That's the big problem because we don't have that defensive midfield. I know Pius don't like it, but he's starting to see it now. We need that defensive midfield so we can push our midfielders up. And we can have our wingers stay wide in positions they're comfortable with. They can have those one-on-one opportunities. We don't do that. We keep them central where the midfield and the center back and even the right back or left back can come back in and they can all double them. We don't do that. Because, I mean, let's be honest. Aspie in that first half with the wingback had 25 touches. Our wingback is, if you look at it, is one of the positions that has the most touches in a game. He did not have it in the first half. He had like 20. And as a wingback, you just can't do that. You have to have that outlet. And if we're going to use Aspie over there, I mean, it made me actually want to play Alonso the second half. I actually called for that, and I hated myself for thinking that because he would actually be over there to be involved in offense. He may have not done anything, but he would have been involved.
I think that was actually rather than if Tuchel, the way Tuchel explained it, the fact that we defended played in a 4 also in the first half in his eyes, kind of. Meant Aspie wasn't a proper wing back. Aspie was just a left back. And for a left back, touches is okay, I would say. And then if Alonso would have played the same position, probably would have had similar little amount of touches. I guess we'll never know. But as to Super Tommy Tuchel's comment here, Tuchel managed Neymar and gave him his best season ever. Our forwards are poor. Now, best season ever? Highly debatable. Best season in France? Maybe. But when I say that, I'm not trying to say Thomas Tuchel can't do it. Not by any means would those words ever cross my mouth. No, that's not what I tried to say. I'm sorry if that's what you felt I was trying to say. No. I'm not saying Tuchel can't do it. I'm saying the structure he's applying to our team, potentially because of how the Premier League is, how he thinks we need to do this, otherwise we're too defensively susceptible, whatever the reason behind it. I'm just saying the structure as it is doesn't work. And I think he needs to find one that can. I'm not saying he can't find one, but he needs to find one. But and you know, to bring up the Neymar thing, we're clearly not playing anywhere near the same structure of attacking football under Thomas Tuchel as Thomas Tuchel did at PSG. It's very different. So just maybe we should try what they did with Neymar to allow our wingers to be better. Maybe will make us defensively worse. But I 100% agree. Neymar was better, but we're not playing the system that Neymar was playing.
But Laurenz, no one was saying this last season though in the Champions League. So what's changed? It's the same players.
Defense.
No one was No one was saying it because we were good defensively, so it wasn't necessary. But at the end of the day, we beat Atletico 1-0, right? With an overhead kick that was completely luck because the ball fell to Giroud.
You're never going to beat. I mean, City only beat them 1-0. To be fair,
that's fine. That's not what I'm saying. But it only becomes a problem when Real Madrid score 3. We still scored 1 yesterday. If Madrid don't score 3, we don't complain about the forwards this much. But the forwards were equally as much of a problem last season as they are now.
How many goals did we score for our Champions League run that were counters?
Don't know, none. 2, 3.
Pretty sure the City one was a counter, wasn't it? We were on the counter.
Nah, we played from the goalkeeper.
No.
But Atletico, the second one at home to Atletico, the Ziyech finish, that was the Emerson finish was a counter-attack. The Ziyech finish was a counter-attack, so that's both in that game. Porto, Chilwell was that counter-attack? No, it was kind of just pressing and them screwing it up. The Mount one wasn't a counter-attack. City, I wouldn't say was. Who else did we play? Real Madrid. Maybe Mount's one, the Pulisic assist was kind of a counter-attack. The other one was counter-pressing moment, but not really counter-attack because when Kante won the ball back and then Havertz shipped it against the bar. It's a weird one. But again, that doesn't really solve the problem. It's good if we score goals on a counter-attack or if we don't. But we need to figure out a way to do it if we can't counter-attack. And our counter-attack on average is awful anyway because our passing decision from any of the players that are involved in counterattacks is awful. It doesn't matter which player. There's no exception to this one. Not even Havertz, not even Kovacic are accepted from that. Our passing decision-making in the final third is absolutely dreadful. And I can't understand how it can be dreadful for a year consistently. Like, it's bewildering to me. Bewildering. Just, obviously, we'll talk more about that now in detail more on Monday in a preview for the game on Tuesday. But now, one thing is we need to highlight is we don't need to score 3 in Madrid. We need to score 2 and then maybe win on penalties. Theoretically, scoring 2 is enough if we keep a clean sheet. Of course, will we do that? The way we're defending, absolutely no way. The way we're defending, we'll need to score 17 in Madrid to get to a penalty shootout, if I'm honest. But you know what? I'm not even take it to Madrid. Let's now take it to Southampton, because Pies made a very important point earlier. Do players get rested now? Do players get punished and therefore dropped against Southampton? Or do you almost put a same team out and see if the hairdryer worked? Because maybe Tuchel needs this game to figure out if the hairdryer worked, because if it didn't, then he needs to change up completely for Tuesday. But if he changes it tomorrow, then he still doesn't know whether the hairdryer worked for Tuesday. Do you see what I mean? Charlie, what do you reckon? Do you think tomorrow is a day to change it up drastically? Or do you think it's a case of, we shouted at them, let's make sure because it's not like this team isn't better, but let's make sure, or let's see if this team can be better now that they've been shat on, essentially.
I'm really not sure, to be honest, on this one. Like, if the Madrid game had gone better, you'd probably rest a few players ahead of the second leg. The fact of the matter is now we've suffered 2 heavy defeats where we've been, let's be honest, we've been pretty much outplayed over the entirety of both those games. And suddenly this game takes on a lot more significant importance, almost to the point where I believe it's a must-win game. Not just for, the sake of this poor run of form, but potentially for the top 4 position. Maybe that might be being slightly alarming, but, we're not playing well at the moment. And then obviously you want to go into the second leg on a bit of a high. You don't want to go in on, 3 games without a win or 3 losses in a row. I mean, you would like to make changes, but if we're being honest, we haven't really got that many options anyway to make any changes. I mean, what are we realistically going to change that's going to really make this any better? I personally can't see how much changes from Wednesday night in terms of performance. Like, I was suddenly going to put in 2 shit performances and then just turn it on against Southampton. I mean, I'm really not sure. How many changes would I make? I don't know, mate. I'll probably make a change in midfield. I don't think Kante should play. Might maybe make a change at the back. Might bring Chalobah in for Christensen. But you're looking at it and you think, all right, Alonso might come in maybe. But with Lukaku and Ziyech potentially doubts, are they going to start? You don't want Timo Werner anywhere near the starting lineup. You're looking at that same front 3 again. I mean, there's not a lot of options. It's difficult, really. It really is.
I hear you. Absolutely hear you. Now, before I take it to the others, in terms of formation, a 4 or a 3. I mean, it's kind of a pointless question because we played a 3 essentially, but Tuchel said we played in a 4 anyway. So maybe it does make a difference. But would you play a 3 or would you go to a 4? Do you think more about finding ourselves again? Is it more about finding the best way to beat Southampton? Do you know what I mean?
I'd stick with the 3. Look, we've seen us in the 3 and we've seen us in the 4 in these last 2 games, and it's both been shocking. But I think the 3 probably offers a bit more defensive stability, which we need at the moment. So I'd stick with the 3. Would I be surprised if we saw a 4? Potentially not, but I personally go with the 3. I think it's the right thing to go with.
I hear you probably. Clutch. Similar questions. What's your kind of approach to the game tomorrow then? Is it changing as much as we can almost? Or is it try the same team again, and if that doesn't work again, then we change everything for Tuesday?
I think I'm in between. I think I want to tweak it a little bit. I think there are a couple players that we need to leave out because they need a mental rest to reset. Thiago Silva being one of them. I don't think he needs to play. I think he needs to have a full rest this weekend. Yeah. Potentially Mendy. The only thing that scares me is Ward-Prowse shooting from distance on Kepa, but I think Mendy needs that almost rest for his mentality to kind of reset itself. Kovacic is a must. He has to start. I don't care anymore. For me, it's between Conte or Jorginho, and should be in Tuchel's mind. I don't think Kovacic is a question. After that, the front three, I don't know. Obviously, I think Pulisic has to start on the left. I genuinely think our best front three is Mason Mount, Kai Havertz, and Pulisic. I just think we need to set it up a little bit better, and I'd probably stick with the back three.
Even Thiago? Or do you
No,
mean just
Thiago's
as
rest. Back three, but Thiago rest.
Pice then. Similar thoughts to Clutch in that perspective? It's not a case of changing everything, but still changing a good amount, or would you change everything?
I don't have a clue, to be honest with you. Like, there's so many thoughts going through my mind, especially with the front three, because I think if you play the same front three, I think, because my feeling is we're gonna press like mad tomorrow, and we're gonna like proper go for it. Tuchel's gonna hook anyone who doesn't try their absolute balls off because he's given them a good bollocking.
Pull all of our eggs out and have no energy left for Tuesday.
Exactly. Like, that is exactly what I think is going to happen. And that's why I wouldn't play the same front three in most of the same team. Because I still think, I mean, at the end of the day, the whole squad got a bollocking. It's not the start 11. Everyone's going to be in the same meeting. And I think this could give a chance for some of those players to play for that Real Madrid game. But I can see both sides where you would start pretty much the same team and kind of see, well, have you learned from the bollocking or not? So, I mean, I don't know. I guess we're going to debate about it as we do these positions. But for me, it's like the main thought going through my head is the front three, because, I mean, you start Mason Mount in this game and potentially, like, he could just keep playing bad. But then again, you start Ziyech, he plays bad, Mount comes in.
Also, Ziyech is a doubt, so we don't even know if Ziyech is fit.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know what Ziyech's issue is, but he seemed more confident on Lukaku, to be honest with you. But yeah, like, even if Ziyech plays, for example, plays bad, and then Mount comes in and plays bad, you're just like, well, what the like, you know what I mean? It's like, well, that rest did a lot of good for Mount, you know what I mean? So there's so many different debates. Like, for each player, you could almost have like 3 different alternate points of view you could put up. Honestly, that's the situation we're in right now with these 2 games.
It's definitely a tough one. See, I agree. I would not play the same team that played against Madrid, but I would, and I know there's the risk of tiring ourselves out, but I would play almost at least the same team tomorrow that plays against Madrid on Tuesday. So in my head, when Tuchel picks the team, he needs to already pretty much know the team for Tuesday, and on that basis, pick the team tomorrow. Because if we make defensive errors, we'll lose anyway. So you can't stop those tactically. Just hope that they don't happen, essentially. But use this game and stop worrying about defending all the time, Tuchel. Actually look at how our defenders, attackers, learn how to attack, how to learn to play with each other. So whoever starts tomorrow in all of the wing-backs, midfield, and front three, in my opinion, start again Tuesday. And give them this game and just tell them, learn to flip and play with each other. Every session in training needs to be those very same 7 players, every session, because they clearly don't understand each other at all. The amount of misunderstandings we have every fucking week is ridiculous. We need to stop that. And I know we complain about it. The second Tuchel plays the same front three every time. People complain that he doesn't rest, and when he changes all the time, they complain as well. Not just the front three. Wing-backs, midfielders, attackers, all of them, they all play with each other and they all don't understand each other one bit. They have no idea what any of each other is going to do. Not a clue. Half of them. And we need to change that. We absolutely need to. I don't care. If you want to play Kennedy against Real Madrid to play better attacking-wise, fucking do it. I don't give a shit. But play whoever needs to play against Real Madrid on Tuesday, play them tomorrow. Because we are going there needing to chase a 2-goal lead. Are we really going to play Aspie left wing back? I bloody hope not. We need to chase. It doesn't matter whether we get smacked 7-0. We can't get worse than going out. I don't care whether we play 0-0 and go out, or whether we lose 7-0 and go out. We need to go for it. There's no excuse for it. Like I said, I don't care if it's Kennedy or not. But go for it. But let's do the defense first. I mean, Clutch brought it up there. Pice. Mendy still in goal, or would you actually bring Kepa in?
I would not bring Kepa in unless Mendy's injured, to be honest with you. I feel like Mendy's got a very good mentality. I don't think that he'll be suffering from this concentration-wise, the mistake, to be honest with you.
I agree. And also, I think, at least to me, maybe I'm wrong on that. Obviously, I don't know him personally. But Mendy seems like the guy that doesn't need a cold shoulder. I think Mendy needs to almost be supported through making a mistake. And if anything, if you drop him now, he's going to be more all over the shop on Tuesday than if you play him tomorrow and Tuesday. Personally,
Yeah,
that's why I would stick with
I
him.
mean, Tuchel did say as well, like, from now on, like, after this meeting, like, everyone's got my love, you know. It's back to, you know, he was saying, like, I love this group and stuff. So he obviously gave him a really good, like, I tweeted last night as well to a reply to his interview. I was like, or not last night, the day after the night of the game. I was like, when I watched that interview, he was about to smack that reporter, honestly, because he was like, well, do you expect me to be happy? Like, he was pissed. And I was like, you don't want to be in that training session, because I knew this would happen. So, yeah, hopefully, like, everyone's got the love again and trust. And I think he's going to trust in his number one goalie, I would hope. So, yeah.
There you go. Charlie, Mendy for you still, or would you go for Kepa?
No, I'd 100% go with Mendy still. Look, he's had 2 poor games, but he's still, you know, world-class goalkeeper, probably best goalkeeper in the world. Everyone makes mistakes, and, you know, he's going to be given the opportunity to put it right, and rightly so. He's our number one keeper, and, you know, after 2 not so good games, I don't think that's cause for concern to take him out the firing line. You know, he's got arm around the shoulder from Tuchel. He's proven how good he is. So yeah, just get out there and do it. No doubt in my mind that he should be starting tomorrow.
Fair. And Clutch, knowing, does the James Ward-Prowse fear beat the want to drop Mendy? Like I said, I personally disagree with you that it could do him well. I think if anything, it could, in my opinion, that would probably do him worse if he's now dropped for one, even if he's back for Madrid, because that makes it feel like his number one spot is under scrutiny or in jeopardy. And I don't think he needs that extra pressure. I think playing this game after the mistake is enough pressure as it is.
I will say on that point, I don't agree, because, I mean, he should understand, like, rest is good for him. That he's still number one. Yeah, you still need rest. Every goalkeeper needs rest.
But he's still going to travel. So unless we're going to leave him at home, he's not going to get rested anyway.
Yeah, I just think the burden of the game.
How much physical effort are they really exerting during the game, right? So the 90 minutes on the pitch probably doesn't make a single bit of difference to Mendy. It's more about the whole travel. And he's traveling anyway.
I think mental drain is what goalkeepers have to deal with. And I think he's at that point where he needs to have that drain. But I would still start Mendy.
Why do you think that, Clutch? Like, can I just ask? Because nothing's said. Like, with Kepa, you could clearly see he was losing confidence. Mendy, if anything, tomorrow, if he plays, I expect him to be out on the halfway line again and try and be Neuer still. Like, he seems confident no matter what he does. Like, if he makes mistakes.
I think that's a problem within itself then. In a way, I think if Mendy is still the best keeper in the world, but you have to take the ball away from his feet. He cannot do that. Him with the ball at his feet.
I don't know.
Yeah, but if that's what you think, then there's no way he should be playing against Real Madrid.
I think his shot stopping outweighs his ball to feet.
Yeah, but because he's made that mistake now, people are going to think he's shit with the ball. I simply disagree.
He is. He just is.
I disagree as well. He's not shit with the ball. It's a little bit like Kepa is the same. People forget Kepa has made mistakes with passing, even though Kepa is one of the best goalkeepers at passing the ball in the world, but he still makes mistakes. The problem is when you're a goalkeeper in a team that's required to pass a lot, every now and again, a mistake is going to happen. And the more it's emphasized that your goalie needs to, like, Alisson makes mistakes sometimes. Neuer makes mistakes sometimes. Edison make mistakes sometimes. Obviously, their attacks are good enough that it doesn't matter. But also, the problem is when we the goalkeeper makes a mistake, there's 9 times out of 10 nobody can bail them out of it. I think he's not as good as Kepa. I completely agree with that with Clutch, but I don't think you can say he's bad. The problem is just make him understand that there's sometimes he doesn't need to take certain risks. I think it's almost him trying to overcompensate for him knowing that's not his very strength, and trying to do it anyway because that's what the team is asking of him to do. Make sure he understands that if in doubt, clear it. Don't risk it. I don't think it's a case of that he's not good enough to pass it. I think it's just that sometimes he's put into situations where it's drilled into him so much that he needs to pass it every time that then he outdoes himself with it and costs him, rather than that he actually is bad at passing. That's my view of the Mendy passing problem personally. But obviously everyone will have a different opinion on that. But sorry, Clutch. So Kepa for you, yeah?
No, I'd still stick with Mendy. Mendy is still number one.
Cool. You said your back three already in a sense, but you said Thiago rested. So how does that look then? Really on the left, I'm sure. But does that mean Christensen here and Chalobah here, or how does that then play out exactly?
Yes. That's how I do it. Yeah.
Was Chalobah on the bench against Real? Because he wasn't against Brentford, was he?
Yeah, he was.
There you go. So at least we know he's fit. Pice, would you agree with our back three to give Thiago at least a rest?
I'd play Sarr instead of Rudiger, personally. I'd give Rudiger a rest.
Okay. Interesting. Charlie?
I'd stick with Rudiger. I personally play Thiago Silva, but I can obviously see the case for him having a rest in this one. And if that was the case, then I would be going with Rudiger, Christensen, and Chalobah. Although having Christensen having had a shocker, I wouldn't be totally surprised if Malang Sarr did play in the back three potentially. But yeah, I'd play Silva, but if not, I'd go Rudiger, Christensen, and Chalobah.
I just
and
think
with Silva, who plays on the right, still Chalobah?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Now, what I would do is I would sign Will Smith and give Thiago Silva and Rudiger a good slap in the face, because that's clearly what they need. Because where's their brains gone? Because the last two games, I've never seen them defend. I mean, Thiago Silva obviously had his West Brom games, but outside of that, I've never seen him defend this badly. What is going on with them? Just punch them in the face. I'm sorry to, don't support violence and all that shit, but I mean, Rudiger loves his violence. So maybe that's exactly what he needs. Maybe not a hairdryer, maybe a good slap. Because what is that concentration level? Sort yourself out. That's why I think he needs to play tomorrow. Because, and again, if he makes another mistake, call Will Smith again. Like, it's unacceptable. Like, because these are not you're not good enough moments. These are like, use your flipping brain. What's it there for? Give them some proteins before if they need it. Like, I know obviously they're doing fasting, which again makes Saturday even more difficult because that's in the middle of the day again. At least the Champions League games are at night time, so that's at least some advantage. But like, no, it's just no. You just cannot have lapses of concentration like that. It's not good enough at this level, and it's not a case of they aren't good enough as players. It's just you need to be on it in your head, and you can't do that. You're not Ross Barkley. Ross Barkley does things like that. So please stop doing it. Bloody hell, it pisses me off. I'm sorry. It's weird, isn't it? Because I wasn't really angry. Sorry, on Wednesday after the game, I was more just deflated and disappointed, really. And now I'm fuming. It's quite funny. But anyway, here we are. Now, I'll go first on this one. Reece James, in my opinion, must start because what that guy needs is game time. If it is overplaying him and he gets injured again, well, so be it. Because we're out against Real Madrid anyway, if he doesn't have an absolute blind of a performance. And then, do I really care that much about the FA Cup? No. We need to try and somehow get through this Real Madrid game. Somehow. We need to at least buy the climbing gear to climb that mountain. Because if we don't even have the climbing gear, there's no chance of climbing it, is there? So give him that game time and whatever, because it's better he has game time and is a bit tired than if he has still no game time and is completely unmatched sharp, doesn't know where to pass, doesn't know where to play. Pointless. So throw him in there, in my opinion. It must be thrown in there. I presume everyone's going to agree with that. I don't think anyone's going to call, please pay us to be right wing back, I presume. Charlie?
No, I agree. Reece James has to play, as you said, needs the minutes, and he's our best right wing back. Simple as that.
There you go. Clutch, Reece, for you as well?
Yes, sir.
And Pies, you as well?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. Saturday to Tuesday is not a long of a break. He's just come back from injury, but we don't really have much option at this point.
Yeah, not much option. Also, again, like I said, yeah, it's awful if he gets injured again. I don't want that to happen to him personally, but the season is on the line on Tuesday. It doesn't matter after. FA Cup's great. We want to make top four, but whether we have Reece James or not, I don't think that's going to be the deciding factor in getting top 4 or not. Personally, I think that. I know some people think it's a bit more dramatic than I do, but hey, Clutch, I go with you first. Left wing back. Now you said you wanted to bring Alonso on even. Alonso against Southampton scares me in itself just because of how high intensity Southampton are. Saul, Aspie, again, theoretically. I don't know. Pulisic. Kennedy. Who are you picking?
I think it depends on who we pick in that player 5 spot. If it's Kovacic, I can understand Aspie over there. But if we're gonna play another defensive midfield, that left winger needs another attacker with him. So you would have to pick Saul or Alonso. But I'm gonna go with Aspie because I'm gonna go with Kovacic in the middle.
Okay, I hear that actually. Pice, who's your left wing back? Sorry.
Well, it's gonna be Alonso for Tuchel, I'm pretty sure, and then I think he'll play. So actually, I don't even want to think about Madrid. I don't know, because like when you have games later, I always try and think, well, who's going to play the next one? Because then that decides basically who's going to play this one. But I think it's going to be Alonso. Would I go with Alonso? Never want to go with Alonso, but yeah, I put Alonso down.
Okay, Charlie.
I think it's going to be him.
Yeah, I'm the same as Pice. I think it's going to be Alonso, and I personally would probably go with Alonso just because I think Aspie's played a lot of football recently. Probably could do with a little bit of a rest, and I think he'll play on Tuesday night. And despite what Tuchel might say, he'll definitely have a slight eye on Tuesday night. So yeah, I'd go with Alonso. I think he'll have a slight eye on Tuesday night, Tuchel. So I'd go Alonso in the left wing back spot for this one.
I will make it as simple as what I'm going to say now. Who, like I said, explained it already. But whoever Tuchel plays on Tuesday needs to play tomorrow. If it's Aspie again at left wing back, then that's even more reason to play Aspie there tomorrow because Aspie hasn't played left wing back a lot. So every single extra second he gets in that position makes him more comfortable for Tuesday. So if it's the plan to play him there on Tuesday again, he needs to play tomorrow. If it's Alonso, play Alonso. If it's Saul, play Saul tomorrow. I don't care. Like I don't even know who to put down because I just want whoever Tuchel picks Tuesday, that guy must start tomorrow. What like that's it. That's all I want. I don't care otherwise. Just that's all I want. So I'm not even gonna. It mostly probably between those two. So I'm just gonna not even add anything to it. Just leave the Aspie / Alonso because there's not much more to add for me. Now people will hate me. I don't really give a shit. My midfield 2 would be this. I know everyone hates Ruben. I don't care. Jorginho is in absolutely god-awful form. Everyone hates him anyway, so what's the point? N'Golo Kante must never start again, basically. If he plays like that, don't start him ever again. What absolutely diabolically awful. And if his name wasn't N'Golo Kante, he would have been booed at Stamford Bridge. If his name was Jorginho, with that performance, he would have been booed. It's shocking. Absolutely shocking. I can't understand how people constantly defend him. It really makes me so angry. Why is Kante the one you decide to... Because he smiles. Look at pictures of other players smiling then, if that's what you're missing. Flip's sake. I'm going to play that. I'm not saying that's... No, but am I? Because I said I wanted to play the same team as on Tuesday. Change my mind, all right, change my mind. But I still don't know who to play here because I don't want Jorginho to play anymore.
What about Saul? Saul.
But like I said, I want it to be the same team as against Madrid. So, and I don't want Saul to play against Madrid. I just know this must be cover. And I don't trust Jorginho at the moment. I don't trust him to control the pace. I don't trust him to distribute the ball. I don't trust him to play it out quickly enough. I don't trust him to make himself available for a pass. I'm not saying Ruben does any of these things any better, but at least Ruben sometimes can beat a man by running past him. That Jorginho will never do. Because Jorginho is in bad form, they're equally as bad as each other, but Ruben is at least tall, strong, and can run. So that's why I wanted to pick Ruben. But do I actually want Ruben to start against Madrid? No, if I'm honest. As much as I love Ruben. So I'm going to pick these two, but I don't know if it works. I don't know. Bro, I don't know. I don't know. Clutch. You can after that say who you want to start tomorrow, but if you thought like me and whoever starts Tuesday must start tomorrow, who starts tomorrow then? So essentially, I'm asking you who starts Tuesday.
Well, if you said for this game I was going to pick Saul and Kovacic, but when you put it in terms of that, it has to be. It's still Conte, man, and if Conte has a blinder, then we know exactly we have a chance. But just put Kovacic and Jorginho. That's who I'm going to pick.
Fair. Because Kante's world class. Yeah, when he plays world class, he's world class. Was he world class Wednesday? Sure as hell wasn't. He wasn't world class, but no one criticized him, which is weird. Ruben Loftus-Cheek loses the ball way too often. True, but everyone's complaining that Pulisic and Mount don't run more, which will mean they lose the ball more. So you're not happy with Ruben doing that? Okay, fair enough. Yeah, Kovacic and Jorginho for me. If it was just tomorrow and I took my whole idea of playing the same team again, I'd play Cover and Ruben. I know people don't like that, but I just want Cover to be allowed to play. And I don't really want to play Jorginho, hence my Ruben. It's as simple as that, honestly. Pies. What's your midfield?
Totally agree. It's going to be Kovacic and Jorginho. Potentially Saul, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think Saul's good technically.
Remember last
I
time
mean,
we played in the Premier League against Southampton. So
yeah, I know, but I have cut him some slack because I do think he's definitely adapted more now. But again, he hasn't played in
but
a little while.
Southampton, don't you think that's like kind of the worst type of opponent for him?
I mean, could be the same with Jorginho. To be fair, with the form he's in, he could just lose the ball and get out. I don't know. I mean, same with Ruben. Ruben likes to dribble, but he does, lose the ball quite a bit. So I mean, again, what options do we have in terms of the game we're playing? I'll go with these two. And my early prediction is he's going to play Cover and Kante against Real Madrid because I mean they're our most attacking pivot, and I feel like we're just going to go all out on Tuesday and say fuck it. If we get smashed, at least we tried. I reckon that's going to be the approach.
Yeah. Might as well, I suppose. Charlie, what about you?
Yeah, this the two that I go. If Kovacic obviously plays, it's a no-brainer. I mean, if he's not on the starting lineup, I don't know what I'm going to do because it would just be ridiculous. And then for me, Kante's been in poor form. I think he needs to sit this one out on the bench, maybe get a few minutes if we are, in control of the game. So I go with Jorginho. But I equally, mate, I wouldn't be surprised if Ruben did start this game alongside Kovacic.
I wouldn't be either. I actually would kind of expect it almost. But...
It wouldn't be a complete shock, but I would probably just go Jorginho over Ruben.
That's fair. Let's move to the front three then. Now, just to mention it for people that might not have heard, in the press conference, Thomas Tuchel said Callum Hudson-Odoi is still out. What used to be an Achilles injury is now a back injury, and he says we're not talking about a matter of days, it's more a matter of a few weeks. No idea what exactly the problem is. I hope he's okay and gets fit soon, I guess, because whether I rate him or not, or how highly I rate him, or do I think he's better than Pulisic, at least he gives us another option to play on the wing, because right now we only have one, because Timo Werner is not an option. I guess Mount on the other side. But the problem is, Hakim Ziyech is also a doubt, as is Romelu Lukaku. Now, Romelu Lukaku has some sort of Achilles injury. Someone said in a chat earlier, how do you get an Achilles injury from jogging? Because has anyone ever seen him run? I haven't. Maybe it's from his bad jump, which meant he missed another huge chance for us. Remember at the start of the season? Remember the start of the season when he said, yeah, Lewandowski, Benzema, Suarez, I should be in this conversation. Do you see Benzema's goals, man? Do you see them? Do you see how to head the ball? Maybe watch those videos all over again, you little shit. Anyway, I lost my shit again. Excuse me, Lukaku. I'm sorry. Please score next time. Yeah, but Ziyech is a doubt. Not sure what he has. And Lukaku's a doubt. So let's presume they're out, I guess. Maybe don't. I don't really care. Give me whoever you want to start, really. Because I don't know who I'd want to start, if I'm honest. Charlie, you went last on the last one, so why don't you go first on this one? What do you think?
It's a difficult one. It really is. Personally, in this game, I know Lukaku's a doubt. I probably would have started him in this game. I don't know if he's fit to play or not. If he's fit to play, I'd play him. Like Kai Havertz is obviously the number one choice up there, but he can't play every game, every minute. He's going to need some sort of a rest. So I'm going to stick with it. I know they'll probably get some stick in the chat for it, but I think this is a game that Lukaku plays, particularly with Madrid coming up. I don't think he'll start in that one. So I'd go Lukaku, and then I don't know. Mount's been so poor, but then Ziyech is a doubt, and then there's no other option on that side. So by default, I'll go Mason Mount, and then left-hand side, I don't know. I'd probably go Havertz in that left position, but then I've just said he should probably have a bit of a rest. So I don't know, mate. It's tough. Let's go Pulisic.
Okay, I hear you.
But I mean, yeah, I've got to be honest with you, I'm not really too sure. But that's probably what I'd go with, given that Ziyech is a doubt. I think Havertz could do with perhaps a little bit of a break. Werner's not a choice. Hudson-Odoi is injured. That's all we've got.
Yeah, I mean, Ross Barkley and Kennedy, but...
Oh, no, absolutely not.
No. I mean, as much as I dislike Lukaku, and I literally just slagged him off 2 minutes ago, Havertz is probably the only one that I would accept saying, okay, maybe he could do with the rest, because obviously start Brentford, start against Madrid. So maybe I could see that one, but for me, I'm sorry, I stick with what I said in the sense that whoever plays Tuesday must play tomorrow. If that includes Havertz, that includes Havertz. But I'll keep my other thoughts to the end. So, Clutch, why don't you go? What's your front three?
I know it's not Werner. I know that. Yeah, it's going to be the same as Madrid. It has to be. I mean, who else could it be? Because I'm not starting Werner. I know Gorilla in the chat is like freaking out, but Werner is probably the worst technical footballer I've ever seen. Get over it.
Gorilla, Werner is so bad. I can't even think you're being serious. I can't even believe that there is a genuine person that thinks Timo Werner is a good footballer. So I have to think you're a troll. If you're not a troll, I'm even more confused. But I just hope you're a troll. So keep trying. But fair. Pice, which one is your front three then?
So my front three would be Pulisic, Lukaku, and Ziyech. But I think the front three will be Werner because of Southampton's high line. Lukaku, if he's fit.
On the side?
Yeah, on the side. Lukaku, if he's fit. And who would he pick? If I'm... I think it'll be Werner, Lukaku, Ziyech if Lukaku's fit. I've got a feeling Werner's going to start in this game because of the high line and resting Pulisic.
But does Pulisic need a rest considering he didn't play Brentford?
Well, no, but I don't know. It's just one of those ones where I don't know. My gut's telling me he's going to play Werner for some reason.
I wouldn't even be surprised if I'm.
No, like I don't know. Just looking, I know like he more blamed the defense and stuff like that. So technically, he could still go with the same front three, but I don't know. It's just one of those games where you look at the lineup and you think, oh, why the fuck's Werner playing? I don't know. Just got that feeling, you know.
If he starts, I'm spraying Lysol into my eyes and pretending I'm watching good football.
Jesus.
There you go. Now, my front three would be play Reece James here because he's the only one that can actually shoot a ball.
Rudiger strike.
Yeah, exactly. Rudiger left wing, James right wing. That's my one. Just give me the people that can shoot. I really want to drop Mount, but if Ziyech's not fit, then he's not fit. What can I do? The reason why I'm saying this about Mount and not Pulisic is because, number one, Pulisic didn't play Brentford. Number two, to me, Pulisic was poor, but Mount didn't look tired or like a bit stiff. Pulisic looked a bit tired and stiff. Not sure whether that's jet lag, traveling, whatever. But I think get him a bit looser, so give him minutes. That will, in my opinion, make him better for Tuesday, and I presume he's going to play again Tuesday. Hence why I'll stick with Pulisic. I think Kai just needs to figure out a way. I don't know, drink a Red Bull, Carabao, whatever. Figure some way out until how he can play tomorrow, how he can play Tuesday, and how he can play Sunday. After that, maybe I don't really care anyway. So after that, Kai can get a rest if necessary. But yeah, I'd probably stick with those. I would play Ziyech if he's not available. But if this Ziyech genuinely, with the intention of having Ziyech do this one and James be there all the time. Just because I can't be bothered anymore with our bullshit like, oh, pass it back, do nothing, pass it back, do nothing, stand in front of 3 opposition's players, have no idea what you would even want to do. I mean, at least Ty tried to shoot a few times. Only one of them was an acceptable shot. The other ones were way too little power, but at least he tried it, and I almost want to, give him some credit for that, as much as it sounds bad. But excuse me, if Ziyech isn't fit, then those 3, and I understand why a lot of people could be confused at that. How can you play the same 3 again? I mean, I'd probably give Callum a shout if he was fit. I would be happy to throw him in, probably. Maybe a Lukaku up top and Havertz on one of the sides. Maybe that's something I would be okay with. Just because, I mean, the reason that the price obviously gave for Timo is not unreasonable. But also Lukaku and Kai are actually quite quick, so they could also exploit that theoretically. If you want to play a Lukaku, Pulisic, Lukaku, Havertz front 3 type thing, and leave Mount out, it's an option. But I don't know. I don't know. The only thing I do know is, like I said, I want it to be the same front 3 as I do from Real Madrid. I don't think Lukaku should be starting against Real Madrid, meaning I will go Pulisic, Havertz, Mount. Maybe if Ziyech is fit by Wednesday, because we have a Mount to climb, we need whoever is the most likely to pull out a moment of magic, and that's Ziyech. Because that's what we're going to need to make this miracle happen. So that's why maybe Ziyech for Tuesday, if he's fit by Tuesday, hence why he, also starting tomorrow if possible. Someone said, why Havertz, he needs a rest? Yeah, maybe he does, but I need us to fix ourselves, and we can only fix ourselves by having the players that are part of fixing ourselves, and Havertz will be part of that, so I need him to play, because otherwise how will we get better before Tuesday? Like, again, it happens so rarely that any team is caught up a 2-goal deficit. And has it even ever happened that you had the 2-goal deficit at home and turn it around away? Has that even ever happened before?
Once before, Laurenz.
Once before, this way around, also with home and away.
Only once as basically what we need to do has only happened once.
And who was that? Do you know?
No idea. I just saw a start of it.
Because I think it happened not long ago, actually, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. But I don't remember where it was or when it was. Obviously, we did it against Napoli back in 2012, but that was the 3-1 defeat away from home. Rather than
Barcelona did it to Liverpool, didn't they? Or Liverpool did it to Barcelona?
Yeah, but they lost 3-0 in Barcelona, 1-4 in Liverpool. Yeah, but that was, again, they didn't lose the home leg first. But big up, Jem, by the way. Shout out to you, bro. Appreciate you. But yeah, I mean, if we go for an hour and a half, we need to wrap this up anyway. But any last thoughts, Charlie?
No, I think just kind of, not really knowing what's going to be the lineup or who should play, and that kind of sums up what's going on at the moment. There doesn't seem to be a lot of options. The performance has been poor. Could be quite a few changes, could be none. But ultimately, for me, I don't care that much who plays apart from Timo Werner, as long as we win. I don't care about performance at the moment. We just need to get a win on the board. So yeah, I don't know how confident I am about getting a win on the board, but yeah, something's got to change. I mean, there's no way it could be any worse than the last 2 games, but I'm not confident it's going to be that much better.
Fair. Clutch, last thoughts on your end, really, ahead of the game?
Sorry, what did you say? I was looking at Timo Werner dribbling compilations.
Why would you ever do that? Just any last thoughts, really, ahead of tomorrow?
Oh, no. Just go out there, play like we normally do. We need to get back to the basics of defending. We need to stop making defensive mistakes, and then we'll move on from there. But I think tomorrow needs to be a complete reset from the last couple games. We need to, hopefully that verbal thrashing that Tuchel gave was enough to kick these players back into high gear.
I've just thought about something, which maybe I should have mentioned earlier, but now it's a bit late. Because we have that mountain to climb of needing to win 2-0 to even get to extra time on Tuesday. Maybe in that situation, we need to play a back 4. Is because can we even expect that from ourselves with a back 3 on Tuesday?
Laurenz,
go on.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I think we'll play 2 strikers on Tuesday.
I don't.
Two
It's never worked.
like real strikers like Lukaku, Havertz,
Yeah,
or
Lukaku
like
and Havertz. Yeah, I think he'll do that. That 4-2-2-2 formation he used. I think we'll do that on Tuesday.
But we.
if okay. And do you think if we do that Tuesday, we should be doing it tomorrow? Because I still think that whatever we do Tuesday, we need to do tomorrow to try it, to get better at it.
I mean, it's a wild card shout. Like, we've not used it too many times, but just because we need goals, maybe we do see a 4 at the back tomorrow. Maybe we do see it against Real Madrid. But obviously, we've done it in a 3, and it could be a 3 both the next 2 games. But I don't know, just because I know he bought Lukaku on as well, didn't he? He kept Havertz on, and he tucked 2 strikers on, and Lukaku had that chance. I don't know. I see both playing on Tuesday.
I mean, it was more of a 4-2-3-1 really, because Havertz. I mean, maybe from in the stadium it looked different, but from TV, Havertz was definitely not as high up as Lukaku was once they were both on.
For me, it looked like they were both kind of up there.
Okay. I just thought Havertz was very far on the right, because obviously Mount had been. No, Mount didn't.
Yeah, I mean,
did he?
even when he was playing in striker before Lukaku came on, Havertz was out on the left a lot of the time as well, trying to actually link up. It was I mean, yeah.
But I mean,
just something to think about, isn't it?
We've done the lineup now. I'm not opposed to it. Do the 2 strikers if you want 2 goals. If that's how you think we're going to get it, do the 4-3-3. I don't care. I mean, it's too late now, but because we don't have time to do the whole thing all over again. But I say it now. Whatever. If Tuchel thinks we need a 4-back, 2 strikers, whatever, against Madrid Tuesday, do whatever he thinks we need Tuesday tomorrow. That's all I'm saying. Not sure what people are saying Pice is thinking out. What is he thinking out? The 4-2-2-2 or
I'm just saying we might do it. I'm not saying I would do it. I'm just saying it.
Pius, what you need to say right now is that you also do not rate Timo Werner. That's what they were thinking.
I don't know. I don't rate Timo Werner at all. I think he's an awful footballer, and he's one of the worst attackers we've ever had.
Are you sure that that's what they want him to say?
but
Gorilla was pretty much saying.
Mate, what is this gorilla guy doing? By the way, this must be a joke. There's no way he's being serious.
Yeah, it must be. It cannot be true. Charlie, yeah. You know what, guys? Score prediction. It's the last thing I'm going to ask you. Charlie, go first.
Do you know what? I'm normally quite positive on these things, but I've got to be perfectly honest, mate. I don't feel that good about tomorrow. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw.
Unfortunately, I can't even say with confidence that you're wrong. Price, score prediction?
I've been getting these wrong lately. 2-1 Chelsea. I think we'll score sort of 70th, 80th minute to win the game, and everyone will be like, "Oh, that's such a relief." So let's see. I think we'll concede. And I'm actually saying that for once. We may even concede 2 because I've put so much trust in this defence, but right now I can't see us keeping a clean sheet, with all honesty. I know Southampton haven't got Broja. They're not the greatest of teams, but I still expect some sort of set-piece goal or Ward-Prowse to bang in a free kick, Che Adams tap in, something like that. I don't know.
I hear that. Clutch?
I am going to go 2-1 Chelsea.
See, my perspective is there's one of 2 ways this goes. Either what Charlie said and we play like 1-1, or we absolutely batter them. In my opinion, there's those 2 options. I don't think we're going to get a narrow win. Either the bollocking has worked so well that we're going to smack them, or we don't have the bottle to get a close win. I just don't trust us to do that at the moment. I'm going to be positive. I'm going to pick one of the 2 options, and that option is, I'm going to say, 3-0 or something. Maybe it's like 3-1, 4-1, because I think Pice has a shout in terms of that Ward-Prowse might score a screamer free kick, because that's just us, or just score a random bounty around in the box goal. But at the same time, if our defenders stop their mistakes and that it's part of the bollocking, if that works, then there's a good chance we don't actually concede. Hence why, I'll say 3-0. But like I say, It's one of those two. And I just hope it's the previous. I just hope, or the former. I just hope we batter them, really. I pray to God. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to round it out here. I thought this was a very productive stream. We talk about, obviously, Mark Walter joining Todd Boehly's consortium. We kind of dissected the Real Madrid result from multiple different perspectives. And we obviously did a bit of a preview for Southampton. Like Pi said, good shout. Broja, of course, is unavailable. Unlike Livramento, of course, is. So that will be fun for whoever plays our left wing back. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to round it out here. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. I appreciate you very much. And every new subscriber counts. We're on the road to 15,000 subscribers. Hit that big red subscribe button. Smash the like button for me. Become a member if you fancy that. Link is down in the description, or there's a join button underneath if you are on desktop. Check out my three wonderful guests, Chelsea's Pisces website, chelseafc at 365.com. Link is down in the description. Check out Charlie's YouTube channel, the Blues Brothers. Link is also down in the description. And of course, follow Clutch on Twitter if you haven't already. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea, upwards and onwards, and we'll see you next time.